the silent island that could change the world. In the modern age, power is no longer decided by who has the biggest army, but by who controls position, resources, and the future. Far from global headlines, far from war zones and political chaos, there exists a land so quiet, so frozen, that most of the world barely notices it. Greenland, a place of ice sheets, glaciers, and endless silence. But beneath that silence lies one of the most valuable strategic assets on Earth. And when Donald Trump openly suggested buying Greenland, the world laughed. What no one asked was why. Because when global superpowers focus their attention on one remote island, history tells us something big is coming. Greenland, a geographical accident of power. Greenland is not important because of its population. It's not important because of its economy. Greenland is important because of where it exists. It sits between North America, Europe, the Arctic Ocean. From Greenland, you can monitor Russian missile launches, transatlantic airspace, Arctic naval movement. During the Cold War, this positioning made Greenland a critical early warning shield against Soviet nuclear attack. And that strategic value never disappeared. It simply became invisible to the public. How the Arctic became the next global battlefield. For centuries, ice protected the Arctic from human ambition. That protection is now gone. As climate change melts Arctic ice, shipping routes open, travel time between Asia and Europe drops dramatically. Energy reserves become accessible. The Arctic is no longer a frozen wall. It is a highway, and Greenland sits at the entrance to that highway. This is why Russia has militarized the Arctic. China is investing aggressively. NATO is quietly repositioning forces. The Arctic is becoming the next South China Sea. The real gold beneath the ice, rare earth minerals. Oil made the 20th century powerful. Rare earth minerals will define the 21st. These minerals power smartphones, electric vehicles, satellites, missiles, AI systems, fighter jets. China dominates the supply. This gives Beijing enormous leverage over global technology and military manufacturing. Greenland holds massive untapped reserves. If the U.S. secures Greenland's mineral access, China loses leverage. America regains strategic independence. Global supply chains shift permanently. This is not speculation. This is economic warfare. America has always wanted Greenland. Trump was not the first U.S. leader to want Greenland. The United States tried to acquire Greenland after the Civil War, after World War II. Why? Because U.S. military planners understood something politicians rarely admit. Some land is worth more than money. Trump's mistake was saying the quiet part out loud. When Denmark rejected the offer, it exposed a deeper truth. Greenland was never just a joke. It was a strategic signal. Why modern invasion doesn't look like war. In the 21st century, power is rarely taken by force. It is taken by economic dependency, infrastructure control, security guarantees, political influence, no tanks required. Greenland relies heavily on Denmark for subsidies. As climate change reshapes its economy, that dependency will shift. Whoever offers investment, jobs, security will shape Greenland's future. This is how influence replaces invasion. China versus America, the quiet Greenland War. China has already attempted to enter Greenland through airport construction, mining projects, infrastructure financing. The U.S. blocked these moves, not publicly, quietly, because infrastructure is power. Once built, it cannot be ignored. Greenland is becoming a chessboard where every move is invisible to the public. Russia's Arctic calculus. Russia sees the Arctic as its defensive perimeter. Greenland threatens that perimeter. From Greenland, NATO can monitor Russian submarine routes and missile trajectories. This makes Greenland a strategic liability for Moscow. Any shift in Greenland's alignment forces Russia to respond. This is how regional moves create global tension. What happens if the U.S. gains full control? If America secures dominant influence over Greenland, Arctic trade routes tilt west. China loses critical leverage. Russia faces increased containment. But there's a cost. militarization, escalation, a frozen Cold War. Greenland will become one of the most militarily significant places on Earth. The people of Greenland, the forgotten decision makers. Greenland's population is small, but its choice is massive. Independence offers opportunity and risk. Foreign investment brings growth and control. Greenland's future will not be decided in Nuuk alone. It will be influenced in Washington, Beijing, and Moscow. This was never about Trump. This story is not about Donald Trump. It never was. It's about a world entering a new phase of competition. A phase where ice melts, resources emerge, and silent places become global prizes. Greenland is no longer invisible. And once the world sees a strategic asset, it never looks away. Subscribe to Atlas Explained for more interesting videos. If you want to know about any city or country, comment your name, tell us what you want to know, and where you are watching from.